We're gonna go over the best training splits that every athlete can use to get a little bit more athletic, and we're gonna start right now. So what are we gonna cover? We wanna go over, first of all, what are training splits? What do training splits even mean? Then we're gonna give you a background on those training splits and then how you can take those and actually implement the absolute best version so that you can be a better athlete. So let's start off right away with what are training splits? And think about, from a training split perspective, that would be, what are we doing in a day-by-day basis? So if I'm going into the weight room, if I look at the training split for that week and I look at day one is going to be predetermined workout. It's going to be a predetermined workout based off of, let's say, a leg day or an upper body day. And then that following day, the split will teach us, okay, day one is going to be an upper body day, day two will be a pulling leg day, and then day three will be a rest day. So that training split shows us the frequency that we're going to be training specific areas or specific groups or specific movements for actual gains in the weight room. And so let's cover those three classic training splits, okay? That first key training split, and this is something that I learned from Bill Pearl back when I was like 14 years old. And then when I would go to the local bodybuilding gyms, that first training split was, let's train 6 days a week and you just train one group of muscles each day. So that would be, day one, we're gonna do a chest day. Day two, we're gonna do a back day. Day three, we're gonna train legs. Day four would be shoulders. Day five, we might train, let's say, here, bis and tris. And then day six, let's work on calves, okay? So we look at a training split where we're just hitting specific muscle groups each day. Okay, that's like a classic old school bodybuilding program where it's literally just breaking it down by muscle group. Then that next key would be if we do a 3-day total body training. And this is something that's still pretty consistent and still pretty popular at the collegiate level. This is something that a lot of coaches, when they're first dabbling in programming, they'll look at, let's do a 3-day strength total body split. Okay, so day one, we're gonna do, a dumbbell snatch with a back squat and then a bench press. Then we take a day off. And then day two, let's say we do something like a power clean and then a walking lunge and then dumbbell upper body work. And then day three, you might go back to doing a dumbbell snatch or a trap bar deadlift and then doing some step ups and then, getting into more upper body work after that. And so that has its own little areas of problems, but it's a 3-day total body split. And then finally, we could get into even a more prominent bodybuilding split where day one would be chest and tris. Day two, we might do leg work, okay? Day three, we might do back and bis. And then we take a day off, and day four might be getting into some shoulder work, and then day five would be another leg day, and then another rest day. And so that's sort of a more prominent bodybuilding split that we see. And all these different splits can morph into, whatever's consistent for, your gym or whatever's consistent into your schedule. And they all have their shortcomings and they all have their positive attributes. One of those things that I never understood was, why are we doing chest and tris on the same day? Why not do chest and bis? Because that's how we can superset things a little more effectively. Or why are we doing back and bis? Why not do back and tris? Because that's, again, how we can work antagonist muscle groups. We've seen in research that if we get 10 to 20 sets per group of muscles each week, if we do 10 to 20 sets, somewhere in that range, we're gonna get some stimulation to force that adaptation. So 10 to 20 sets of upper body work, 10 to 20 sets of leg work, 10 to 20 sets each week on technical coordination. We can factor that in. That's the first, box that we've got to check off. That second key that we're going to be looking for is just some semblance of organization. Okay, if we have some type of organization, now we know each day what we're doing in the gym and how we can prepare and set those goals for what we're trying to achieve. And then that leads into that third key concept, is that once we organize our training, we can start to see a pattern of adaptation. We can start to feel how different movements impact us later on in the week. And then that's how we start to plan and program for how we might be peaking for our specific sports. If we don't understand this and we don't take notes on this type of patterning, it could inhibit a big time peak. And this essentially is establishing a performance rhythm. I like to equate this to sort of a performance version of the circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm is sort of the ebbs and flows that your body goes through based off of when you wake and when you go to sleep and the energy levels that you have throughout the day. And really, training splits establishes that performance rhythm that then enables your coach and yourself as an athlete to really lead to that monster response that you want to get when you're competing inside whatever sport that you're doing. So let's go into those key splits. And I want to present sort of 3 different key splits that I think everybody could use. This past weekend, I was up at the Penn State spring practice, just talking with their strength coach, their head strength coach, Chuck Losey. He's one of the best in the game, and just going through what they do at different points of the year. And he's like, Dane, sometimes we can only train 3 days a week. So if we can provide you guys with, all right, 3 days a week, a 4-day-a-week split, and a 5-day-a-week split, and then you can pick and choose based off of your schedule and your scenario, which one applies best. And so starting off with that 3-day split, again, this was inspired by Coach Losey. I'm not a huge fan of only training 3 days a week, but if you have regulations on time or you don't get to the gym as much, 3 days a week will suffice. And so I would recommend day 1, you've got to do a big time leg day. And the first lift that you should be doing, based off of our programming template that is available down in the description, you should be doing a big technical coordination lift. We want to think about lifts that transfer best to other lifts. So day 1 will be that big time leg day, technical coordination, some big time absolute strength work, and then really prominent accessory work. Okay, day 2 would be that upper body day. Okay, so we're going to devote an entire day to upper body work. We want to get 10 sets, 10 to 15 sets in this scenario on our upper body so that we can elicit a good response and we can get good coordination to come back so that that transfers really well to the competitive field. Ideally then, let's say it's a Monday, we do leg day, Tuesday we do upper body day, Wednesday we would take off, now we go back in on Thursday, and Thursday we would start with some good speed work, so let's say power cleans or power snatches, and we might do a decent strength lift like a single leg squat or a front squat, and then we're gonna do a lot of bodybuilding stuff with our upper body. So that day 3 is gonna be like a dynamic molding day. So you've got, on a 3-day split, something that I would recommend, again, 1 day focused entirely on legs, day 2 focused entirely on upper body, and then day 3 is gonna be that total body molding day. And that's gonna provide enough sets that you can recover. I don't believe this is the absolute best case scenario, but it's something that will be positive and productive for your overall athletic capability. That takes us into that 4-day training split. So the 4-day training split that I recommend for athletes is gonna be similar, but we're gonna add in one key day that I think really is gonna help transfer over to that athletic field. And that's gonna be day 1, okay? Day 1, we're gonna focus on that big time leg strength, okay? So again, technical coordination, some type of absolute strength work, and we're gonna superset that with some dynamic trunk control work, and then a whole bunch of accessories. Remember, if you need that training template, you can click on the link down below. That's a program template that you can download. You put in your email, we'll email it to you, and you can use this to design your training splits for this week, okay? So day 2 would be a big strength day for your upper body. So it's similar to that 3-day split, but now maybe we're gonna do a behind the neck jerk and then a bench press after that, and then some bodybuilding work in there, okay? That day 2 is gonna be really focusing on pushing those key upper body lifts that will transfer to our sport. If I'm a shot putter, I want to put in my big time bench press on that day. If I'm a swimmer, I want to put in my big time strength work for my pulls on that day, for my pull-ups and my rope climbs and my sled pulls, things along this nature that transfer well to swimming. So think about what exercises are best used on an upper body day for your specific sport. Now, day 3 is where we start to get a little more creative. So this is going to be that athlete day. On the template, you can see how we lay out that athlete day very specifically, very precisely. So I recommend an entire day devoted to being more athletic, being more reflexive, being more reactive, and being just a better athlete, taking that big time work that we're doing in the weight room and then focusing on chaos coordination on that athlete day, that's gonna transfer really well. And then finally, that takes us to day 4. Okay, day 4 is gonna be a dynamic total body day. So this might be, a power snatch, and then that's followed by, unbroken front squats that are done at like 60%, something like that. And then we might go in and do explosive bench press or incline pad bench or incline unbroken work. So now we do a full body day on day 4 with the legs, the explosive leg day, and even explosive upper body mixed together. It's dynamic total body. So on that 4-day training split, day 1 is a leg day, day 2 is an upper body day, day 3 is gonna be that athlete day, and then day 4 is going to be that total body dynamic day. So it could be set up like day 1 is Monday, day 2 is Tuesday, Wednesday we have off, day 3 is on Thursday, and then day 4 is on Friday. I even like to set it up where we go day 1, 2, and 3 would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have Thursday off, and then Friday would be that day 4. Now, here is where I believe the #1 best training split that every athlete can benefit from. This is going to be a 5-day training split. Okay, so that 5-day training split is really, really unique because we can start to play around with that patterning, that rhythm, that adaptation rhythm. It helps us see how each athlete reacts. So day 1, big time leg strength day, okay? We're gonna do that technical coordination work, and then that absolute strength work. Day 2, that's gonna be our big time upper body work. We wanna really push those benchmark lifts for our specific sport, okay? Day 3 is gonna be our athlete day. This is where we wanna train chaos coordination. We wanna do unilateral and bilateral work. We wanna improve our stability to help carry over all the work we're doing in the weight room to that competitive field. Day 4, this is where things get very, very interesting. And this is where you can really start to study your athletes and how they handle different aspects of training. Okay, so day 4 is gonna be a dynamic leg day. When we're doing this dynamic leg day, we're looking for speed work. We're looking for better technique. We're looking for logical intent actions from our athletes, okay? We want them to really engage and embrace the technical coordination movements, embrace good speed, good posture, all those things. Here's where it gets really, really cool. So on day 4, we can really start to stimulate out of season some type of bodybuilding or hypertrophic gains, okay? So we could do a dynamic movement, and then because we're out of season, we can focus on bodybuilding. We can focus on building the actual contractile structure to get a little bit larger, which later on will lead to more coordination and more power output because the muscle is gaining size, okay? So that day 4 leg day typically will be dynamic, but if we're out of season, we can do more bodybuilding work. If we're in season, we just keep doing more dynamic work to really see that transfer over and to help us lead to bigger peaks. Okay, so you can start to really play around with that training split on day 4 based on the time of year and based on the type of athlete you're dealing with. Remember, if we have an athlete reactive analysis and we see how each specific athlete handles volume and intensity, that helps us with their development. And then that takes us to day 5. So day 5 is gonna be that upper body dynamic day. This could be a behind the neck push press. It could be a linebacker split jerk, anything like this that's gonna transfer really well. We're gonna do some speed work if we're in season, more dynamic work. But don't forget, if we're out of season, we can do more bodybuilding work. And especially, day 5, that's when athletes get a little bit fatigued at the end of the week. They don't mind doing bodybuilding work. It's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit easier on that day 5, and they can really push, get the pump, and they leave the gym feeling good and positive about where their training's going. It prevents that overtraining feeling. It helps break up the monotony. So play around on day 4 and day 5 of this key training split with dynamic work or with bodybuilding work, and then test your athletes and see which one they like better. See how they recover a little bit more effectively. But I believe the 5-day training split based off of a leg day, an upper body day, then an athlete day, followed by dynamic leg day, dynamic upper body day is the absolute best way to get those 10 to 20 sets per group of muscles. And remember guys, it's okay to squat twice in 1 week on this training split. It's okay to also not squat for an entire program if we're doing more front squats or more single leg squats. I think a lot of people get concerned and they think that you have to hit every single muscle group every single week. But if we're training more compound movements on days 1 and 2 and 4 and 5, that's gonna take care of everything. That's gonna help that transfer of training. And that's the main goal that we're looking for when we're focusing on athletic development. So what do we learn from this? Okay, we learn what training splits actually are and why we need to focus on those training splits. We want to see and understand the adaptation curve of each athlete, okay? Then we went into what are those classic bodybuilding splits? What are those classic splits that people have used in sports performance and they're still using? And then we provided those 3 key alternatives, the 3-day split, the 4-day split, and my favorite, the 5-day split, to help you become a better athlete. And if you need help with your programming, you need a template that's going to improve your overall programming, click on the link down below, you go over to Garage Strength and you put in your email address and you can get a free programming template that helps you lay out those exercises a little bit more effectively. And if you want even more help, more information, click on the link and you can go directly to garagestrength.com and pick up our Sports Performance Bible. It's a book and course that's going to help you become a better coach and a better leader to develop those athletes into those freaks. Until next time, guys, remember, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.